Afternoon and good evening to everyone. My name is Amara and I am one of the customer care associates here at Nimble. Today we're going to discuss workflows, deals, and reporting. Before we jump into that, we can just go ahead and discuss for a moment exactly what Nimble is. Nimble is an easy-to-use CRM that works for you in Microsoft 365, G Suite, and everywhere else you work, which you can do with our Nimble Prospector app that works within your inbox or anywhere else on the web. You can consider it a mini version of Nimble with the added ability to import contacts no matter where you are to go ahead and enrich their data. So as you're browsing the web or even looking in your inbox, the Prospector is an easy way to gather new insights from your contacts, pull up their existing contact record, and serve as a reminder for who that contact is. It will also provide further contact details like job title, company name, and ways to log and schedule activities. Nimble automatically combines your contacts, communication histories, email inboxes, and calendar appointments into one unified record. We also have a mobile app for both Android and the iPhone at the moment. For today's webinar, we're going to cover using workflows, deals, and reporting. If you're interested in an overall demo of the application, you can go ahead and head to our YouTube channel and watch one of our previous webinars. The latest one would be from last week, or you can register for the next Nimble General Overview, which we'll be hosting next week. Great, so just give me a moment here to get my screen set up and we will jump right into our workflows. Great. So the Workflows tab appears like so. Simply put, if you're wondering what a workflow is, it enables users to track all of their processes on multiple Kanban boards and lists so that when you receive a new lead, contact, or company, instead of using a spreadsheet, you can add them directly to a workflow and begin nurturing that connection. And as you build upon the connections, you can move the person from one stage to another until you reach a successful outcome. There may be many different processes that you can manage in Nimble. One of them would be the lead to sales process, which we'll go ahead and cover today. Other templates have also been developed to allow not only the sales team, but the entire company to collaborate on many different processes using those templates that are specific to their needs. So before we get into these other use cases, we'll just go ahead and go over tracking leads for sales. When you first create your account, you'll see a generic workflow that has been created. That would be this new leads pipeline here with these stages that have been preset for me, beginning with gathering new leads. There are also instructions for each stage, as you'll see here. So new unqualified leads, reviewing your leads, reviewing leads that fit the basic contact persona requirements, attempting contact, so initiating an outreach with someone you haven't yet connected with, connected once you've made contact and you're sort of pending a qualification, and then eventually qualifying these leads. They meet your qualification requirements, being the last stage here. When you are adding contacts to your workflows, you can go ahead and select Add Contact at the top here. And you can either search for an existing contact and go ahead and add them to your workflow that way. Or you can go ahead and create a new contact. So for instance, if I wanted to create a new contact, I can go ahead and add them directly to my workflows. I can select the exact pipeline and the stage I would like to go ahead and add them in. Additionally, I can add any other contact details that are relevant. And once I go ahead and save them, they'll be automatically added to my new workflow. Likewise, you can add companies this way. As you'll notice, you can just go ahead and add contact, select new company, and it'll be the same process. You'll just go ahead and enter any details for that company as necessary. As the lead progresses, you can drag and drop them from one stage to the next. So it's as simple as that, and that information will be reflected in your lead stages. You can also customize these board card fields. If the information is not relevant, you can go ahead and switch it out for other fields or rearrange or delete them by just clicking Configure Fields here. So these would be all the fields that are listed, as you can see. If you wanted to remove any of them, you can go ahead and just deselect those fields. If you wanted to select new fields, you can go ahead and add them directly And then likewise, if you are creating completely new fields, for instance, a custom field, information that doesn't already have a dedicated field in Nimble, but that's important to your records, you can go ahead and create a new field here. So you go ahead and give it a tab name if you haven't already selected a custom field tab. You can create a field type. There are quite a few options here for custom fields. You can create a text box that you'd like to type directly into, a select box with preset drop-down fields. You can create true false fields, a list of users on your account, a drop-down menu field, dates, addresses, and then also numeric fields like percentages, currencies, things like that. Additionally, you might want to add fields such as our lead type field, status, or URL field that might be relevant to your contact records. That would be under additional lead fields. So for instance, lead type, you might want to list the type of contact they are, status, where they are in your process, and then source, where you're initially introduced to them. Once you have the contact fields, these cards, the way that you would like them, you might notice that some of the fields are lacking data. Updating these is very easy. You can go ahead and update them just by going ahead and clicking on someone's name. You'll notice their card comes up in the side here. If I wanted to, for instance, add a lead type, I can go ahead and adjust it there, and then it will appear like so when I refresh this page. So you see them listed there, my updated lead type. And while we're on the subject, you can also notice that essentially their entire profile will come up here on the right in this little sidebar. So while you're editing fields that might be related to your workflows, you can additionally go ahead and add any notes, log activities, anything that you would perform directly from the contact record. You can send out messages, create deals, etc. You can even apply more tags, set reminders, really adjust any information. So you do get the view into their full contact profile here as well. And it's convenient to see it in this workflows. This way you don't have to toggle between tabs or adjust any other information. Now that we have our contact cards set up, we can talk about modifying the different stages here. When you first access your workflows, you'll see that we've set up some generic stages as are displayed in this new leads pipeline, but these are very customizable. So if you ever want to modify stages, you can just go ahead and click here. This will give you the option to not only edit the instructions that you've set for any stage, you can edit the stage name. You can also add new stages that might be relevant in between the current ones that are already set up here. So for instance, if I wanted to go ahead and create a new stage here, I might want to create a stage for users that aren't qualified. I can go ahead and save it to my list, and then it will appear here on my new leads pipeline with the instructions that I've set as well. Additionally, you might be more comfortable with a different view. Perhaps if you're transitioning from spreadsheets, for instance, you might prefer our list view. So you see here the board setting will show you sort of a Kanban board of these contacts, whereas if you select the list view, it'll appear as a columned readout, more similar to the contacts tab in a spreadsheet format. You can also go ahead and configure your fields and informations here. For instance, if you click configure table, you'll be able to decide which of the different fields are displayed here. You can pin different stages that might be most relevant to the top of this list, and you can of course add or remove any of them as necessary to edit them. You can also perform inline edits here, similar to how you would on a spreadsheet by just hovering over and clicking the little pencil icon for any of these such fields. There's a drop-down menu. You'll notice that you can, of course, just select exactly what you'd like to go ahead and add. Apart from this in-stage column here, which will go ahead and automatically calculate how long a contact has been in these fields, the rest of these you can go ahead and edit as necessary. Now we'll go ahead and switch back to this board view. If you're using workflows for other use cases besides tracking your leads, this is where the preset templates might come into play. So for instance, I've created some of these workflows. I've created, for instance, a potential hires workflow to add my contacts to. So this would be a custom one that I've created. If you go ahead and select Add New Workflow at the top here, you'll have the option of selecting from some preset templates that are industry specific. So you'll notice that, for instance, in each of these, you'll see a preview or an overview of the stages that will automatically be added, including the instructions that are inherent in each, as well as the fields that will be displayed. And of course, you can always edit these later after you create them, but this will just give you an overview of the information that will be automatically added. So you might want to check here for any of your industries. We have quite a few, and then within those, we even have some additional. So for instance, for human resources, you'll notice we have a basic hiring workflow and then also new hire onboarding workflow. So these would be a great use if you ever want to go ahead and select one for your industry. It'll save you a little bit of time and just give you more information on all of your different contacts. For instance, if I select the networking here, you'll notice that the stages would be targeting your contacts, doing some research. They've been outreached to, whether they've responded, whether you've engaged with them, and then eventually nurturing these relationships. And the fields that would be listed would be the last time they were contacted by yourself or team members, as well as the audience side, the networks that they might be affiliated with, and also the engagement rate. Okay. If you go ahead and click Use Template, they'll go ahead and be automatically added. You'll notice that the workflow is created with the stages listed, and if you did want to further edit them, you can add any additional stages, edit the instructions, etc. You can also list reasons here that your contact might have been exited unsuccessfully for your workflows. So as you're going through your process, you might find that some contacts don't meet your criteria, so you can go ahead and list reasons here, for instance. Related to your workflows. And then when you close your deal or you exit a contact unsuccessfully, you'll be able to select one of these reasons. That'll give you a bit more information so that when your team members are working, they know exactly why potentially you weren't successful in one of these workflows. This will be really helpful in narrowing down exactly why a contact wasn't successful. And then you'll be able to pull reports based on that information if you'd like. So you can track all the reasons why a person may not want to do business at that moment. For example, it might not be in their budget, or it might not be the right time. There might not be enough money, and so on. And you can track all of this, and then in several months, you might want to go ahead and reach out to people that didn't have enough time or weren't qualified at that moment and see if now is a better time. And we'll go into how to report on that in just a moment. I'd also like to pull out the fields that'll be automatically added. Some of them are already preset fields that exist in Nimble. Others are custom fields that'll be automatically created when you create the workflow, like for instance, audience size, networks, and engagement rates. Those would be automatically added once I go ahead and create the workflow. And then if I wanted to go ahead and click Create Workflow, that'll automatically add it as you see displayed here. In addition to adding contacts directly from this workflow, you can add them from several other places. You can, for instance, go to your Contacts tab and go ahead and add contacts to workflows by just selecting a contact or an entire group of contacts, taking actions, and then add to workflow. And then you'll just go ahead and select the exact workflow you'd like to go ahead and add it to. Additionally, you can add them upon CSV import. So if I'm uploading my contacts from a CSV file, you'll notice that at the last stage of the import process, it'll give me the option to go ahead and add my contact to workflow. So once I've gone ahead and uploaded my file, gone through all the processes of mapping my different fields to pull all this information into Nimble, on the last page, you can go ahead and add contacts to workflow under where it says workflow here. This way you can easily do it upon import. You don't have to go in afterwards and add contacts to your workflow. And additionally, you can also add them from your Gmail account if you have the prospector up, or any website really if you have the prospector up. So for instance, if I were on a LinkedIn profile and I was creating a new contact record, I could go ahead and add them directly right from my prospector, which is a browser extension here in Nimble that you can go ahead and download for Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and Safari. So once you've downloaded that, you'll notice that there's a little Nimble symbol that appears here toward my address bar at the top, this little blue icon. If I go ahead and click that, it'll bring up the Nimble Prospector. And again, this is where you can work anywhere on the web with Nimble, in addition to adding contacts directly from other sources. If you are on a website, you might want to review any contacts that you currently have. So you can always just search for them and go ahead and view their profile in case anything like that is relevant to you. As you're performing searches, you can go ahead and hover over or highlight your contacts' names, and it'll begin building a live profile for them. So you'll notice in the case of Gemma here, it's found several websites that it believes are linked to this contact just based on her name. And again, these appear to be related. This would be the LinkedIn page that I'm currently on, as well as her Twitter, and it looks like a Facebook page. So if I want to add any of this information, I can just go ahead and click the green checkbox next to that, and it'll add all the details that it believes are relevant. So it's able to find an email address, link some other profiles and things directly to them. And if I want to go ahead and add a contact, it'll create a live profile for them. So now this contact will be added in my Nimble records. As you'll see, I can go ahead and add them to one of my workflows. I can also move them between different stages here. And when I return to my workflows, I will go ahead and see that reflected in my Nimble tab. Now we'll go ahead and cover reporting for workflows in the Contacts tab. So if I return to Nimble here and return to my Contacts tab, you'll notice that there are some workflow filters over here on the left. You'll go ahead and see all of them in this panel. Clicking one of them will take me to a list of contacts in that workflow. And you can also see other workflows the contact might be in. So if they're in multiple, they'll be listed here on these little icons. This might be relevant as well. You can go to the configure fields table. You can also sort by specific fields if you want information that might be relevant to your contacts. So you can view this as it's most important to you. And you can also decide which information are similar to your workflows, which fields are displayed here in this table view. If you would like to go ahead and create a report based on workflows, you'll use our segment search function. So you can go ahead and select that by either clicking Add Segment here on the left or Segment Search here at the top. And what you'll go ahead and do is click Add Contact Filter, and then towards the bottom, you'll notice that there are fields related to your different workflows. So you can, for instance, select Active Workflow Stage, and then it'll go ahead and list the different stages here in your workflows. You can, for instance, select all contacts in a given workflow and go ahead and click Update, and it'll bring up that full list. If you want, you can even go ahead and save this for future use. You can, of course, always adjust it as well. For instance, just to show one that might have a little bit more. There we go. So this would be all of these contacts in this workflow stage. And if I wanted to, as I mentioned, I can save this for future use, just giving it a name and clicking Save Search. I could also select all contacts in this section and take any bulk actions, like, for instance, marking them important, applying tags, setting stay in touch reminders for everyone in this stage. I can also change ownership, privacy, or add them to a new workflow. Likewise, I can export them to a CSV file, to MailChimp for a mailing campaign. You might want to reach out to everyone in a given stage, or a vCard format. And you can even click Send Group Message to reach out to them all right here in Nimble from our Group Messages tab. Now that you know everything there is to know about workflows, we can go ahead and talk about converting leads to workflows. The workflows function can be used for pre-qualifying leads before moving them into your sales process, and deals before taking further actions like sending contracts, sending quotes, and so on. As you are in your workflow stages, you can go ahead and click on the 3 dots in any of these workflows, and it'll list some options here. Moving them to a different stage in the workflow, exiting them successfully or unsuccessfully, which is where those reasons I listed earlier would come into play. Removing them for a workflow, attaching files that you might find relevant, or even converting them to a deal. So to convert a workflow to a deal, you'll just go ahead and click there. You can give it a name here. You can add an expected close date, just as you would for any of your other deals. You can give it an amount, a probability of success, and then you can select exactly which of your deal stages you would like to go ahead and automatically add your contacts to. And then once I go ahead and save it, I'll be able to view it in my deals pipeline here. And you'll see the deal that I just created listed in the stage that I've gone ahead and selected. And it appears here in the pipeline. And similar to that workflows, you'll just go ahead and drag and drop them between stages as you want to go ahead and progress through your different sales process. Likewise, the deals tab here also has a pipeline function, which appears like so, and a list function. So again, if you want to see a columned view of this information, you can go ahead and read there. You can also group these different deals by their owner, by the stage that they're in, by their probability of success, etc. And you can also view different pipelines here by using these drop-down menus. You can use contacts. You can view them by who owns them on the team. So different users might be responsible for different deals on your pipelines. And then likewise, you can view them by their status. So deals that are active that you're currently working on, deals that already might have been won, marked won or lost for you and your team members. Again, won or lost, and any deals that are stuck, which just means they've exceeded the amount of days you've set for a given stage. They usually appear with a little red outline around them. You can still edit these deals, add any further information and work with them. It's just to give you a little bit of a reminder. So for instance, you'll notice that like in my testing pipeline here, I have a couple deals listed here as stuck. So I can always just go ahead and move them to a different stage to update them. And lastly, our reports tab here. This will show analyzed information from your different deals. So as you see them displayed here, you can select one of these preset options, or you can go ahead and select a specific time frame, and you'll be able to see the averages weighted, which is based on the probability of success for your deals, versus total view on your pipeline. You can see active deals versus stuck, wins versus losses, both your averages, and then also just the number of deals. You'll also be able to view this for each individual team member at the bottom here. So you can see how all the users on your account are doing. The forecasted deals will show based on the expected close dates and the monetary values that you've selected for your deals. You can view this in terms of revenue, and then also, again, in number of deals. It'll be displayed here. And your deals history will go ahead and show a line graph. So you can see how your different team members have been progressing over time. You can also split this by team members so you can see how each individual user is doing. But otherwise, you'll be able to see it again in terms of revenue and then also the number of deals. So if I did want to even go back further, I could get even a bigger swatch of deals to give a full display. All right. Well, it does appear that I've come to about the end of the overview here. So now I would love to go ahead and answer any questions you might have. I should also just go ahead and note that we do have some upcoming webinars next week. For instance, will be a general overview, all the different Nimble tabs and features. And after that, the following week, we'll have one on contact cleanup strategies. So, creating segments, exporting contacts, updating and editing your fields as necessary. And now I'll go ahead and take a look at your questions. So if you do have any, you can go ahead and type them into that question section, and I will try and answer all of them. At the moment, I just have a question about audio, so I hope everyone is able to hear me correctly. And again, if you do want to review this webinar or take another look, you'll receive an email with a link to view it. It'll also be on our YouTube channel in case anyone wants to go ahead and take another look later. For now, I'll give a moment in case anyone has any questions about how to add contacts to workflows, what the best processes might be, converting them to deals, any of that information, you can go ahead and type in. Okay, I have a question here. How do you make a workflow private to a certain user? So at the moment, there's not a way to make workflows private. Deals can be created and assigned privacy if you'd like to create a private deal. Otherwise, you might consider making your contact private. So I can just give you a quick demonstration here. As you're working within Nimble and as you're creating deals, if I go to my deals tab, you'll notice that there is an option to set privacy for deals. So you might want to go ahead and make a deal private, and you could sort of manage that through this through these stages if you'd like. Additionally, you can make your contacts private. So that means when you go and view a workflow, other users won't be able to see the contacts that are included. So from any of your contacts, you can go ahead and assign and adjust privacy. For instance, I might want to go ahead and add that field even directly to my fields here to configure them. While I'm at it, I'll just go ahead and move it up a little bit higher on this list so we can clearly see it displayed. So for any of your contacts, usually they're shared with everyone, but depending on how collaboratively your team works, you might want to go ahead and adjust privacy. So you can go ahead and make these deals private to owner, and then when anyone else is viewing your workflows, they will not be able to see that contact listed there. Additionally, on your contact record, you could also make these just viewable to everyone, but not so that others can edit them. So they won't be able to change the progress you've made in your workflows. All right, so yes, you might consider making your deals or the actual contact private if you wanted to not have that displayed on the workflows for the rest of your team to see. Great. Now at the moment, that looks like the only question, but I'll give another moment just in case anyone has any others. Okay, great. Well, I appreciate you all taking it easy on me today. If you have any other questions, one last context. So in terms of LinkedIn, once you add the prospector, you can just download it. You can find instructions for any of those on our website, but I'll also go ahead and put that in the support channel. So depending on which browser you have, for instance, Safari here, Chrome, you can also do it for Microsoft Edge and Firefox. They're all listed here. I'll go ahead and put all these links just depending on the browser you have here into our chat function. But these will have instructions on downloading the browser extension for any browser you might be using. And once you do that, you'll just set it to run and you can open it right up, just as I have done. So you'll see at the top next to my little address bar here over to the right, there is an icon, a blue icon for Nimble. I can go ahead and select that and it'll bring up the prospector. And you can do this on any social site, any social media site. And once you're here, so for instance, I'm on LinkedIn now. Let me go ahead and adjust this to the other side of the screen. I can go ahead and hover over or highlight anyone's name to try and build a profile for them. And then once I've gone ahead and added them to my Nimble records, it looks like I've already added this person. But theoretically, once I've added them, I'll just click add to contacts, and then they'll just automatically be listed in my contacts. So when I return to my contacts tab here, and I go to recently added, we'll notice that Gemma has been added. So already. And any actions you take from that little sidebar in the prospector will go ahead and transfer over to the Nimble web app. So if you're adding contacts to workflows, like I added her to my workflow, or adding any contact details, such as tags or basic information, that'll also go ahead and feed back to Nimble. So really, you'll just need to go ahead and get the extension, and then you'll automatically be linked to Nimble. Great. All right, well, I do hope I was able to answer all of your questions. If you do have any others, you can always reach out to us at care@nimble.com, CARE@nimble.com. That is our basic support channel, and we're always happy to answer any questions that you have there. And yes, one more question here. If I created a workflow on my account, can other users see them? Yes, they'll be able to see the workflow in the different stages you've created, but whether or not they can see the contacts would be subject to the privacy on those contacts. So different users in your account will be able to go to the Workflows tab and go ahead and see these are the different workflows you created as well as the stages, but they won't be able to see everyone in here if you, for instance, marked any contacts private. And you can always just go ahead and select their name if you are directly in the workflow and you want to adjust the privacy. It'll bring up their profile on this little sidebar, and you can just go ahead and use this drop-down menu to adjust. All right, well, I want to thank you all so much for attending. We appreciate it. I'm wishing you a great rest of your week. And again, if you have any other questions, you can always check out our resources on our support channel here, support.nimble.com. I'll put that in the chat as well. We also have a YouTube channel where webinars just like these are posted every week. Last week's was a general overview, and this one will be posted later today in case you want to check those out. They'll be right here under Nimble CRM's videos in case you ever need to review them. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and rest of your week, wherever you're viewing from here. We appreciate it. And don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any other questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.